Hi, everyone. Julie here. If you want to hear future episodes before anybody else, join our Patreon, where you'll get episodes 3 days early, as well as access to Slack and all sorts of other things. You can find us at patreon.com/Podlander Drunkcast. Thanks for listening. Visit us at podlanderpresents.com to find information on all of our shows.
I was doing extra fizz.
Oh, God damn it. Fine Pilsner beer. It really is good, dude. That first sip, it always hits.
It always hits. A lot like a fire that's predicted to happen. It always hits.
We knew it was coming.
We knew it was coming.
R.I.P. Big House.
R.I.P. 9,000 windows.
You remember that one window, that bay window in the front room? I really like that window.
Yeah.
Remember the entire wall of windows that were her surgery? I also really like that too.
You know, if you had set the Big House Burning to like any piece of classical music that's up tempo, you could have had all the windows bursting on time. Like
it's very clearly. Totally.
I was thinking
just popping. Oh, yep. It's popping.
Yeah. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like
it was like very hot.
I didn't think we were going to go there. I thought if we were going to start with a musical moment, it would start with one of two options. Either, as I think it was Terry suggested in the Crowdcast, Claire is following Mrs. Bug's casket to her burial, where she becomes the guardian of the cemetery for the people whose shit she cleaned out of chamber pots.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Rude.
Somebody had to do it.
And her crazed, gold-loving husband, he loves gold. He
it's a real Scrooge McDuck.
He is. He shows up and he's like, "Mistress, will you sing?" She goes, "Yes, Arch. Yes, I will. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg.
Duckburg, that's right.
Race cars."
Something aeroplanes.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
World.
Or rooms. It's a duck might solve a mystery or rewrite history.
Ooh! But Jim's. Ooh!
Yep. So I thought we would either do that or we would do dick knife. Ooh!
I think we got to stick with butt Jims on that one. It's too good.
Butt knife.
Oh, see, I don't like that though.
Dick jewels. Welcome to Podlander, Drunkcast, and Outlander podcast. I'm Allison.
I'm Julie.
And we are here talking once again about butt jewels.
Ooh.
These foolish jewels are breaking up my butt.
Although they weren't jewels this time that did break shit up, but it was gold.
Gold!
He really did go all in. All right, so this is season 7, episode 3 called Death Be Not Proud.
It was written by Tyler English Beckwith, who I'm going to pull up on the old IMDb in a minute here, and directed by Jackie Gould, who also... Okay. Starz.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, Daphne. You have written here on your official press materials, which have been out for months.
Yeah.
That episode 3 is directed by Jackie, Jacquie, Gould, Gould. Episode 4 is directed by Jackie, Jackie, Gould. So,
which is it?
I'm sure they're the same person. We're going to find out which it really is right now, but y'all, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm looking at both of them and I don't have to scroll. There is no get a copy editor. What the hell? Somewhere she's like, my name is spelled with a C and a Q.
Or Q, yes. Q.
Well, they both have a C in them. Oh,
I've been waiting.
Jackie with a C and a Q. And then an I and then an E. Okay. Death Be Not Proud.
So, directed by Jackie Gould and written by
Tyler
Beckwith. Have we
Tyler
heard
English Beckwith. I'm
Have we
checking
heard
right
that
now.
name before?
Okay. Tyler, who I just very stupidly assumed was a dude
Oh, gal.
because of name. Well, certainly a person who is female presenting.
All right.
This is, well, it says writer 3 episodes. Okay. Staff writer on the first 2. So this is somebody in the writer's room.
Okay.
This is a person with, it must be said, Tyler, if you're listening, I promise I'm not objectifying you. I'm just stating true facts. Tyler English Beckwith has a rockin' rack and a truly beautiful afro.
That is true.
Look at that.
Yes.
Hot woman.
Keep it
person.
going, Tyler.
Tyler, great writing. Magnificent rack. Well done. You're killing it. So written by Tyler English Beckwith, which, I mean, I'm sure we have talked about this before, but just in case we haven't, everybody knows that writers' rooms are deeply collaborative, right? So like, just like sometimes you're watching a Tony episode and you're like, I wonder who wrote this scene. Wasn't Tony Graffia. That can be true of any of these episodes, but the credited writer is typically the person who takes the lead. It is Jackie with a Quie. So they spelled her name right once. Canadian director. She has directed for... She directed second assistant director. Friday the 13th, part 8.
Oh my God.
Okay, we're skipping her second unit credits. Come on, bring me to the...
That's not the one where he took over New York City, right?
Girl, I don't know.
I think that's 9. I don't remember. I don't watch those movies.
Previous, here we go. Director.
Ooh, Jackie Gould.
Jackie Gould. Okay, this is her first Outlander episode. She has also directed for Charmed, Van Helsing, Day of the Dead, Motherland, Fort Salem, and Fire Country.
All right. Welcome, Jackie.
She's also credited as a writer. Let's see what she has written. Oh, Victory Square was one of the things she directed. And then she's listed as a story editor on another TV show called Strange Empire and a writer on a short. Anyway.
Okay.
Jackie.
Well, this is
well
not
done.
the first episode this season that we've seen that it's been a pretty woman-focused or female-presenting focused creative team.
Totally. Yeah.
Which is cool. Because we bitched about that a lot.
We did.
We have bitched about that ad nauseum.
It appears, and I'm making gendered assumptions, which I shouldn't, but I don't have time to confirm all of these things right now. If we just sort of assume that people's names are
aligned with their gender.
Yes. Then the next episode is also Jackie Gould, just like, and that's a pretty common TV thing.
2 in a row.
A director will do 2 episodes.
Didn't the same person direct 1 and 2?
Yes, it's especially post-COVID. It's increasingly common because then it's you've got 1 in pre-production and 1 in production, and then that one is in production and then in post-production, and it just makes it easier. The next 2 after that are directed by Tracy Deer.
All right, Tracy.
And then the final 2 are directed by Joss Agnew. So it seems like 3/4 of the episodes this season, it's a relatively safe assumption that 3/4 were directed by women.
Right on.
It's a different writer for every episode, but again, that's kind of how it goes. You know who is not listed as a writer or director this season at all?
Throw a party. Throw a fucking party.
Celebrate good times. Come on. There's no mustache there. No mustache. But he's still interfering. Okay. So that is our writer and director of what I think is a pretty solid table setting episode.
It is very much a table setting episode. I did
with
enjoy
lots of hot pess.
I did enjoy all the kind of in-depth conversations. I will say that one thing I struggled with a lot in this episode is I didn't really understand the entire bug plot.
Yeah.
So as a non-book reader, maybe that's part of it, but also it just felt like weirdly shoehorned in or like not really fleshed out enough.
Here's how I think we should approach that.
Okay.
I think we should talk about the whole fire storyline.
Okay.
And the bug storyline in general without getting into the specifics of it.
Okay.
And basically assume that we have a pretty major quibble that we will discuss once we're finished with that storyline.
Okay.
And that way we will just like sort of recap the story. We'll talk about the performances, which I think are pretty solid.
Yeah.
And the rest of the fire, I mean, obviously the whole episode is really about the fire, but I'm saying like through Merdina Bug's funeral.
Okay.
We'll go right through before we get the second voiceover.
So to me, the house burning down was very sad.
Yeah.
And we knew it was coming. But my favorite acting moment in that piece was when Jamie realized that the fire had made it upstairs and was just like, well, that's it.
Yeah.
And just the look on his face of admitting the truth and just letting it sink in was very powerful, I thought.
Yes. I think the fire in general was very well handled on just about every level. Acting wise, the effects were great. Yeah.
The set piece afterwards, the burnt down house, was really cool.
Incredible. And, you know, we obviously won't be seeing it after this because by the time they come back, whether they make it to Scotland or not, open question, but whether they make it to Scotland or not, by the time they come back, that will have been
cleared.
Yeah, it would have to be that, like, they're not just going to, because that's spooky and ghosts.
Yeah.
You know.
Plus, maybe somebody on the ridge wants to build somewhere over there now that they've decided to move across the river. Let's take this real prime
they're
land.
They're going to take all those little pieces of glass and make a really nice mosaic. Okay. If there's room, I appreciated that they had Jamie's letters do the old-timey use of title case. That's from Amelia. Sorry, we're going to get there. Don't worry, Amelia. That is the most Amelia, please make sure you talk about this thing I have ever heard. When I went to see Rachel Bloom's show with Amelia's husband, Jeff, by the time we were leaving, I didn't notice it until we were leaving. We were getting up to leave, and Scott, friend of the show, Scotty Caldwell, co-host of the Podlander cast, Scotty Caldwell, was like, Jeff, what are you carrying there? He had like a rolled up magazine in his hand. And he went, it's the New Yorker.
Oh my God.
And we laughed and laughed.
That's very funny.
It's very Jeff and Amelia. Anyway, love you, truly. All of it.
Like, fire was cool. Everybody coming up to help was very well shot.
It was cool. Just the brief period where they were actually trying to put it out, and they made it really clear how strenuous. Somebody in the crowdcast said Bree should have invented a fire truck.
Yeah, because pulling all that water up from a well is
oh my God, it was just like the trough in the well, and even if they had a hose, that fire still would have taken the house out. But think about how daunting it would have been. So yeah, that moment, it's great acting from both Sam and Kate, I think, when Jamie realizes, and it was specific to he saw a curtain. He saw
that the flames had reached the second story and were starting to catch the curtain on fire.
Specifically, he saw this curtain catch up, and then that's when the camera pivoted again. Jackie Gold, Jackie with a CQUIE.
Get it right.
We respect those names in this podcast. In this house, we spell it with a CQUIE. First, it was the curtain, and we see Jamie's realization
from
and then
inside,
Claire's realization.
Weirdly. Like the camera's
cool
inside
shot.
The house. Yeah,
we see that beautiful wallpaper curling up.
Oh, so sad.
And like a great shot. We see a lot of windows burst, which I have to admit.
We knew was coming.
And
it was very satisfying.
I know it wasn't a shout out for us, but it sort of felt like
every time there was something with a window throughout the show, I have felt like it was a shout out. I'm sorry.
A window or a wall.
Till the sweat drips down my balls.
Which is great because, the Stephen Bonnet bottle, maybe it had condensation on it.
It got really humid. Ochre coat gets really hot.
It does get really hot and humid. Also, it might have just been tired from all the times that he spent fucking it. Remember that?
Yes, I do. Oh, Lord.
Anyway, okay, so we also saw the one that got me in my feelings is they showed the nameplate on Claire's
medical kit.
Yes, the Dr. Rawlings nameplate, as well as some other little objects here and there.
Just like a whole life
significant personal objects, but not all of them were like, this is emotionally impactful. It was just like daily life. And they continued that thematically once we are past the fire, which again, I'll come back to that in a second. It was really well done. And the reactions and the helplessness of it. And the genuine reason to be grateful because
you're alive.
And that's what matters. Stuff doesn't matter, but also you're allowed to be sad about stuff.
Of course.
And
What a beautiful house, a life you've made together. You've lived there for a long time. Happy memories.
Things they carried across the ocean.
Dude.
All of those tampons
Oh my God.
in that bum roll.
Oh, I would be so pissed. Well, back to rags, I guess.
I mean, certainly a lot of very expensive stuff too. Think about all that expensive medical shit that Lord John has been sending Claire. And Bree's inventions.
All the penicillin in the world.
Yeah, all the penicillin in the entire
Gone.
world. The syringe that Brianna made out of the snake fang.
Yep. Deuces. See ya.
Those think how fast those mattresses all went up.
Probably about as fast as that fucking awesome wallpaper. I was thinking about that wallpaper. Like, how did they get it there? Who put it up? Who knew how to put up wallpaper then?
I mean, we've seen wallpapered rooms.
I guess. Yeah. In
Think
River
about
Run in
Versailles.
England. Yeah.
Like, we've seen all kinds of wallpapered rooms.
But
But it was beautiful. It is absurd. When Julie and I both had this reaction when they showed Bree and Roger's cabin again. It was like, oh, look, it's the big house.
Mm-hmm. Because that really does seem like what would be considered a big house on that property.
Although, you know what? Honestly, if the trade that we get from absurdly big house, which takes us out of the reality of the series, is 3 seasons worth of jokes
about windows,
plus
I'll take it.
That incredible set of the burned down house.
R.I.P. house.
Take it. R.I.P. house.
All right.
Of considerable size.
Yes.
House of unusual HOUS.
It's S. House of unusual size. Wasn't it?
It's ROUS, so HOUS. BHOUS. Big house of unusual size.
Anyway. All right. Well, it was a cool scene. Glad to see it. Then we see.
So then they're going through the
bugs
rubble.
freaking out.
Yes, we see the bugs freaking out a little. But before we get there, they're going through the rubble and finding things that survived. And this also got me in my feels.
Claire's journal
with all of that was originally Dr. Rawlings' journal with all those beautiful, incredible drawings in it and her detailed notes and also all that information that is definitely going to get her killed because she's a time traveler and people are going to think she's a witch. That notebook.
Her grimoire, in other words.
Her grimoire. Totally. Here's how you make penicillin. Don't worry about it. It's from the future. Take some bread. Leave it out. Make sure to infuriate your housekeeper. That will never be a problem. Don't worry. It's never going to come back to bite you in the arse. Just go ahead. Leave bread everywhere. Get a cat. Make sure it's a cat you're emotionally attached to, but not a cat you're so emotionally attached to that you'll turn back when you've already started your commute. If you find him after
Scotland.
a fire. So get a cat. The cat will take care of the mice. You'll infuriate your housekeeper. Again, not a problem. There's absolutely no way that will come back to haunt you in any way. Then you let the bread grow mold. Then you terrify your husband and nephew by telling them that germs are tiny wee monsters that enter the body through small openings such as cuts, because it's not like they're not constantly bleeding. And then you let the mold grow, and then you get your husband's dearest friend, who is also deeply in love with him, to get you a microscope, and you look through the microscope at the mold and hope that you remember enough from medical school to recognize penicillin when you see it. Once you've done that, you put it in liquid, and then you convince the people of Fraser's Ridge, all of whom already think you're a witch and also possibly a murderer, that you need to inject bread mold into their bodies in order to prevent them from dying. Simple. I got very Julie Andrews at the end there. I'm not sure why.
Simple.
Just a spoonful of bread mold keeps you from getting scurvy. Keeps you from getting scurvy. You know what, Julie?
What?
Wow. Claire, like Mary Poppins, seems to have magical abilities. She has a bag that carries way more stuff than it should.
That is true.
She's got some very smart outfits. She seems to have knowledge that she should not have. She, too, has a talking umbrella. And she is definitely fucking a very tall man covered in soot.
Oh, my God. So does that mean that Mary Poppins is a time traveler, or does that mean that Claire is a goddess of chaos?
Both.
What?
I think canonically we are going to say Mary Poppins could totally travel through the stones.
Oh, for sure. No question.
Yes.
Fucking when the stones see her coming, they're just like swing wide open. They're like, yeah, she's back.
They go, boo. Oh, this is going to be really intense.
And then there's the one little stone up to the side that's like, I love her bag.
Oh my God, I love that bag. And here's what happens. Here's what separates Mary Poppins from Claire. When she needs to travel in time, she opens her bag and she goes, and she pulls out one stone and puts it down. And then she reaches into her bag and she pulls out the other stone.
She carries an entire Dick Rock circle in there.
Yes, and then she pulls out one dancer and then another dancer and then another dancer. She pulls them all out and then she lets them do their thing. And then she travels through the stones. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just picturing Sam Heughan in a kilt. Ain't it a glorious day? Bright as a morning in May.
When he does the little knee thing.
Yep, with the penguins. Oh my God, Jamie Fraser dancing with penguins.
Jamie Fraser would be really good at the fucking
chimney, chitty.
Step in time.
Step in time.
That's the really fast one, right?
The windows start bursting. Step in time. House is burning down again. My wife's a witch. Burn them. Over the rooftop. Can't go on the rooftop. It burned down. Can't go on the rooftop. It burned down.
What the fuck? We did not make this connection before. Allison, thank you. The direct Outlander to Mary Poppins pipeline.
Which is great because that's really the opening we've been waiting for the entire time we've been doing this show. I guarantee we have found other opportunities to talk about how Mary Poppins and Bert are definitely fucking.
Oh, definitely. We have surely talked about that.
Yes,
yeah.
Because it is one of our most deeply held beliefs.
It's true.
If someone was like, tell me an opinion you cannot justify in any actual way that you would absolutely justify, that you could say, no one will believe this, it cannot be proven, but I will prove it now, that would be the one.
That Mary Poppins and Bert
are fucking.
Yes.
Yes.
No question.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I don't even feel like I have to justify it. I feel like it's perfectly obvious. Like if you watch the movie, yeah.
It's practically obvious in every way.
Yeah.
Here's the real question. You know how, like, decades after the fact, Carrie Fisher wrote a memoir about her time shooting Star Wars and was like, yes, Harrison Ford and I fucked. You've been wondering for years. I can confirm, Harrison Ford and I fucked. Why don't we have that from Julie Andrews about her and Dick Van Dyke?
Well, I mean, at the time she was married to Blake Edwards, right? And they had a happy marriage. They were married for a long time.
Oh, okay, fine.
But still, that did not stop either one of them, Dick Van Dyke or Julie Andrews, from shooting sex darts at each other through their eyes the whole time. They were boning.
They were definitely, the characters were boning. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's, you know what? It's like Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga singing "Shallow" at the Oscars. Mm-hmm. They're not fucking. They're just doing their jobs, and we all benefit.
And their jobs are to convince us that the characters are PNVing. Yeah.
This is what it was realized. This is what it was like when Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga were rehearsing "Shallow" to perform it at the Oscars. Bradley Cooper was like, while Lady Gaga was going, right? Bradley Cooper picks up this microphone and walks it around the piano to be able to sit with her so they can finish the song. And as he picks it up, he goes, wait, hold on. I'm picking it up. Look, does this angle make it look like we're definitely fucking? Or like if I tilt it a little, will that make it look more like we're fucking? And Lady Gaga was like, that angle, that one.
Number
yes.
2.
Yes. Okay. So when I'm playing, should I whip my head this much to make it look like we're definitely fucking? Or this much to make it look like we're definitely fucking? That was what rehearsal was like, which is also what rehearsing Step in Time was like.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Director, if you would. Mr. Disney.
Mr. Disney.
When I do this like tappity tap thing, does that make it look more like Bert and Mary are fucking? I want to make sure that it looks like they're fucking. We need to give something to the grown-ups and to the child in us all. How did we get on Mary Poppins again?
Something about the Dick Rock Circle and her being able to travel, and so her grimoire is where we started.
Oh, Mary Poppins has a grimoire too.
Anyway, Claire, the things that got left behind, the things that survived.
Oh, it was because I was doing the instructions on how to make penicillin.
Yes, that's right. So the book is probably going to come back, I think, if it survives.
I sure hope so.
Right. Okay.
It's and I'm sure it's damaged, but like it partially survived. The one that really got me in my feelings though, Jamie like kicks open a trunk and his plaid is in there.
Yeah. Oh, untouched. No smoke, no soot on them or anything. I'm sure they smell like smoke.
What happens in the rest of the episode? What a smart choice to have him find that, because he finds it. He wears it to Merdina's funeral.
He remembers his familial obligations in Scotland.
He looks really comfortable, and then he makes this decision that he has to, for a number of reasons, that it's time to bring Ian back to Scotland. I wonder if Ian will have anything to say about that. It's a really beautiful moment. Then Claire finds a sweater or something, and it's singed beyond repair. So they're definitely finding things that are not salvageable either. But it's really it's very, very well done. Then Ian finds something.
Oh, he finds a little portrait of young Willie.
And walks up to Jamie and he's like, I thought you might want this.
A picture of your kid. Yeah. And then just stares at him until Jamie admits it.
Yeah, Jamie is really just Ian is really like, hey, look, I wonder, do you want this? Why would you want it? I wonder why you would want it.
Staring at him. Just say it. Just say it.
Just come on.
I already know she's a time traveler. Shit, you've let me into that circle. On. Just go ahead and tell me about my cousin.
And I want to be clear. Hold on a second. They didn't tell Ian that Claire was a time traveler.
Oh, he figured it out.
Like this. Like Willie. Mm-hmm. Ian has so far been let in on 2 major secrets, and he figured them both out on his own. Take that, Myrta.
Yeah.
Advantages Ian has over Myrta. 1, he figured those secrets out on his own. 2, not dead.
Alive.
Oh, we also get a Karen sighting in this episode, which is really, it was a beautiful. Anyway, so we are pulling rubble, and Ian makes Jamie
admit it.
Gives him eye daggers of the non-sexual variety to make him admit which is a beautiful little scene.
It is, and you can just tell from the moment he steps up to him, he's like, just tell me.
What I wonder, and I know which it is in the book, but I wonder in the world of the show, did Ian figure it out while Willie was there, fallen into the turlet, remember? And he had leeches? Yeah. Or was it putting that memory together with finding the miniature in the house?
I think probably finding the miniature was he went,
well, and
that's right.
And that's great, because that's with more adult eyes, you look at something.
You could have bought the bill of goods originally as a kid, but now you're putting the pieces together.
Yes. Yeah. A lot like when I realized that they didn't actually send the puppy I got for my birthday when I was 5 to a farm.
I'm sorry.
I was in my 20s. It took that long.
It only took a couple of months for me with our family cat when they told us that she died in her sleep, and that was not the way she died. Oh, they didn't tell me. I was fucking 30-something. I was like, come on, tell me the truth. But
wait, you weren't a child?
No.
What the fuck?
I didn't live there anymore. They just didn't want to tell me the gruesome truth of how Spanky died. I don't really want to go into it either, but it was...
I also don't want to go into it.
She was old, and they just told me she passed away in her sleep. Not true. My sister was like, they're lying to you.
Oh, Spanky.
Yeah, but Spanky was the shit, so R.I.P. Spanky.
Cheers.
Here's to Spanky. She was she lived by the sword. She died by the sword. I once saw her stalk and bring down a bird 3 times her size.
Wow.
She was a bitch.
All right, Spanky. Mm-hmm. So, amidst all this house burning down drama, we've got some Bree and Roger stuff, which we'll get to in a minute. But before then, we have to go back to the title card too.
Oh yeah.
And the cold open. Before then, let's get the
baseline
bug shit out of the way, and then we'll come back.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
It's clear that this was the gold that Jocasta stole. Just because we know Hector, sorry, she was there. We know that they worked for her. We have to believe that it had something to do with that gold. So
did they work for her? I don't think they did. I think that Archbug is...
Didn't we see them at their house?
No, because he said every time we went to River Run.
Oh, okay.
Arch, I don't think is an Ardmere man, but is because he would have been more loyal to Jamie if he was. I'll have to consult. Maybe we'll take a little break halfway through the episode and I'll refresh myself.
But the whole backstory on what he had to do with it or his wife had to do with it was very muddy.
Yes.
And it was kind of difficult to follow. And
Let's do it this way. Julie, you tell me, based on this episode and what you remember of previous mentions, your understanding of this storyline.
Okay, so there was a crate of gold bars that were supposed to come to Scotland to aid in the BPD's war, like
Yes.
support him, and it was a lot of money. And they never got it. It washed up on shore.
It was delivered, but it was too late.
Thank you. I didn't know who was there, except it seems like maybe Hector, Jocasta's husband, was part of that.
Yes. Which we get in the previously on, we get a shot of the carriage being stopped while they're trying to flee
That's
Scotland.
right, because it's underneath the carriage. I remember that.
Yes, and Hector valued the gold more than his daughters. So both of Jocasta's daughters were murdered in front of her when that carriage was stopped. Mm-hmm. And that's like the great tragedy of Jocasta's life, which is part of why her relationship with her husband is very obviously something that was extremely fraught.
Mm-hmm. He's dead by this time, though, right? Yeah.
Long since dead. He's dead when they show up.
That's right.
So
I know that's where the gold came from.
And
I know
then
that
helped them build a fucking plantation.
He got it. Hector got his share, maybe other shares, is what I'm kind of picking up from this, is that maybe he took more than he was supposed to or something. And then they got it to America, where they built River Run, a plantation, and that's where they have their vast wealth from, is this gold that they stole that was supposed to go to this thing. Somehow Mr. Bug was privy to the knowledge about this gold and sussed it out on his own where it was, and was trying to steal some back. There was some split somewhere, and that part was what was unclear.
Okay. I can break down what they said in the show. I need to refresh myself on what they said in the book, and maybe we'll take a little break at some point, and I'll do that. If not, we'll touch on it either in the books episode or next week. Mm-hmm. So when the Frenchman's gold showed up, which, if you'll recall, we've been hearing about the Frenchman's gold since
a long time,
season 2, mm-hmm. because that's why Jamie took his little swim. Mm-hmm. Right? As he was looking for the Frenchman's gold on the island where the butt jewels eventually were found.
Butt jewels.
Ooh. So he...
It will never not be funny to me. I'll just keep doing it.
I'm excited about Dick Knife. We've been hearing about it for a long time. And it was not... the legend is that it was delivered, but was too late to make a difference. So the members of the clans that showed up to retrieve it, who were a part of the rising, it was scattered and lost, right? Okay. Like separated it so that it wouldn't be an easy target or whatever. What we are told in this episode, in that well delivered, but frustratingly
unclear.
Yes, and like too
muddled.
Exposition heavy.
Yes,
but also not
enough
actually
information.
Clarifying.
Right.
Yeah. Is that the 3 men who were there were Dougal Mackenzie, mm-hmm. Hector Cameron, mm-hmm. and Archbug, who was there on behalf of Grant. So it was 3 clans: the Mackenzie clan, the Cameron clan, and the Grants. And what the Grants did with their money was used it for the betterment of the clan. So presumably put windows into the Grants' equivalent of the big house, right?
In Scotland, right?
Fed people, and and in that... At that time, money of any kind would have been hugely significant, because you remember, like, Claire telling Jenny to plant potatoes, and
it's the end of their way of life, and they got to start all over again.
And they're
right?
under the British heel, and
it's a step
up. A lot of men had died. And
it's a definite, it would be legacy admission.
Yes, totally, hugely significant for that clan. So what this version of Arch, at least, is furious about is his share of the gold that he delivered back to the head of his clan was used for the people of Scotland. Hector Cameron took his share of the gold, fled across the ocean, and built a plantation, which they do not say explicitly, but read to me in the way this episode was written, that he built a plantation which was built on this gold and the blood of slaves. Mm-hmm.
Because aren't the Bugs Quakers or something? Isn't there?
No.
But still, bad news, and he's right.
And it would be, it is not a stretch for me to imagine that a lot of the characters in this story would be deeply opposed to slavery. because of their
past.
experiences.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was not said explicitly, but that was how I read it.
Okay.
Was that they used this gold for not only a purpose that was selfish, but also deeply evil.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not for the betterment of Scotland, and was used to presumably purchase many, many enslaved people who were wrongly taken from the place that they called home, treated like animals, and then forced into slave labor for presumably the rest of their natural lives.
Mr. Bug is right.
Yes, absolutely. So that is what he is mad about. Is that well handled in the show? I don't really think so.
It was unclear.
Yes.
I do like that he tries to get it back. I do like that he's been going there and just going into, and I also love that this petty motherfucker has it buried with him. Hector,
yeah.
That shit is hilarious.
Yeah, I think that has already been established. I think Jamie also figured that out.
So every time Mr. Bug comes over, hi, Jocasta, tri-corner hat, bow, how are you? I'm just going to go take a stroll around the grounds. Pocket.
Totally.
Every single time. I love it.
Yeah. So they've presumably been hiding it all kinds of places, but there was one in Mrs. Bug's sewing bag.
Just because she liked to have it for surety, right?
She used it as a, what do you call
it? To spin the yarn around.
So that is the bar that was found. Jamie is furious. And this is something I've got mixed feelings about.
Why is he so mad about it?
Exactly. When it happened, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I could understand. I mean, he is essentially grave robbing when he's taking this gold. Like, that's pretty weird. And also keeping it secret. And also, as becomes clear later, putting his family in danger by having the gold in the house.
That's true.
None of those things is made explicit, though. He's just mad.
I do think that having it there is probably what made him mad, but it was not clear.
Yes. Then, later in the episode, Jamie is like, why did that matter so much to me? And I really liked that. And it's weird because it made the beginning of the episode so imbalanced, but both Jamie and Ian are like, why did I react that way? Why did this matter? Now this woman is dead. Why was I so upset about this gold? I don't care about this fucking gold. And Ian is like, why on earth did I shoot her? Why did I shoot her? Her shot barely grazed Jamie. I didn't need to kill this woman. And I didn't mean to kill her because I didn't know who it was. Like, why? So I think that's interesting, especially as a potential setup for further character exploration for both of them.
Like, why am I killing all these people?
Like, why?
Why do I got to kill somebody?
Why is my reaction so confrontational?
Right. Why am I a stone cold killer?
Exactly. And it is too late for Jamie. But
Yeah,
maybe
you know what?
Ian.
Maybe Ian
I mean, Ian has killed a lot of folks.
do some work. He has, but not as many as Jamie has.
Well, he's younger.
That's right.
He's got time.
What did we decide to call him? The Scottish John Wick, right?
Yeah.
Because
well,
the
then
dog.
somebody in the Crowdcast suggested Scottish Terminator 2. But yeah, Scottish John Wick because of the dog.
Because of the dog. Because Mr. Bug comes at him on that dog. That's where the John Wick thing came from.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's right.
That scene.
Okay.
All right.
So Mrs. Bug comes back after there's been the confrontation with Mr. Bug.
Yeah. So Jamie at the end is like, listen, take this bar of gold, get the fuck out of my house. I know it's not really a house anymore. I don't care. Listen to me.
Go away.
You're going to
Goodbye.
get off my smoldering ruins, and you are going to leave with your bar of gold, but not the rest of it because fuck you. Take your wife, go. Weird reaction, I think.
Yeah.
But fine. He's like,
Confrontational.
great. Off I go. They have this brief but really solid little scene where Mrs. Bug is like, what? He's like, well, he's telling us to go. She's like, good. We've been scrubbing their floors and keeping their secrets, and it's time for us to live our own life. Great. Would have been a great exit. Instead, and I get it. More gold is better than one bar of gold.
Yes.
If what you want is gold.
But also,
Just go. Just go. Listen, you know these people
they're killers.
they're stone cold killers.
Yeah. You know it. You've seen it. You've helped bury the bodies.
You have literally helped bury the bodies.
You know this.
So why?
Well, and it's interesting that she comes back and he doesn't, and she's wearing his clothes. We talked about that a little bit. She's wearing her husband's jacket and tri-corner hat, and I don't know if it's to fool people, just generally speaking, like a woman alone walking at night or whatever. But she comes back and tries to get it, and Ian kills her.
yeah, it's
It's also like Ian White You are so good with that bow and arrow. I know you can shoot her in the thigh.
Yeah.
And that's going to drop her to the ground without killing her.
Or the arm.
Yeah. You don't have to put it straight through the middle of her chest.
Yeah, that was a lethal shot.
Yeah.
And granted, as will become very clear momentarily, Archbug is a dangerous man.
Yeah.
So while I agree, Ian, you didn't need to kill, quote unquote, him because that's who you thought you were killing. It's you could sort of get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a dangerous man.
Yeah, they don't know that yet, though. They're about to find out, though.
Yeah.
So the funeral happens.
Oh, they do know that, though. I mean, first of all, I think they all just assume that every Scottish man is a fucking stone cold killer.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least every Highlander is a stone cold killer. Because they are.
Yeah, and they have.
It's a Scottish thing.
It's they had to. They were backed into a corner. Many corners.
Yeah, so many corners. Endless corners. Also, I wonder where Dougal's gold is. Do you think he blew it all on hookers and blow?
Yes. No question. He's the Sonny Corleone of this story. That gold's long gone. Nothing but haggis and whiskey.
and hookers.
And hookers. He probably bought Jocasta not Jocasta. He probably bought Gayla some nice shit. A monkey vest.
Oh.
She did have some nice clothes. I don't know.
It's so basically what you're saying is, and we'll get to this, like Brianna making matches eventually burned down the house that she went back to prevent from burning, but by making it burn at a different time,
save their lives.
Like that little time loop. Dougal getting the gold that then used to buy Galus the clothes, which then Galus used to fuck up time with Claire, which then made
It's a lot. Time travel is so stupid.
It's very confusing.
It's dumb. So Ian accidentally kills Mrs. Bug. Jamie and Ian are both freaked the fuck out.
Great little death scene. Ian is immediately distraught. And John Bell.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a handful of scenes, but he's great in all of them.
He's very good in this episode.
Yes, he's very, very good.
So then we go to the funeral, and it's a sad funeral on the Ridge Affair. We've seen this many times. But this time, Mr. Bug weirdly, asks, he shows up. First of all, he's not supposed to be there, but he's like, hey, that's my wife. I'm coming. And Jamie's like, of course.
Of course you are.
Yes, of course.
Because we, at this point, have also had the scene where Jamie is like, why did I react that way?
Why did I do
And Ian
that?
is like, why did I do that? And Claire comforts them both. And there's nothing we can do about it now.
We
Time
gotta
to
move
just
on.
bury this woman.
Yeah.
We're going to bury her. And then there's also that nice little chat about where Lizzie, with her heart big enough for two husbands, says, well, now Malva isn't guarding the cemetery anymore. Now it's Mrs. Bug, and she can go to heaven, which is great because a lot of other people would have been like, she's a witch.
Yes. Yeah.
No, Malva, Lizzie and Malva, she's like, even though they were competing,
Right.
sort of.
Malva, now you get to rest. Goodbye.
Yes.
Now Mrs. Bug is on the caper.
Also a good episode for Caitlin O'Ryan. Lots of good scenes for supporting players in this episode.
Yes.
So
why does Mr. Bug ask her to sing? Like, that kind of comes out of nowhere. Is there something in the book that would, explain his request?
not that I remember. I don't think that happens in the book. I think he just shows up at the funeral.
Is he kind of trying to rub their mistake at you assholes?
That is certainly what the acting communicated to me.
Yeah.
Is it's like he's making them play a more active role in the funeral of the woman he considers to have
been murdered.
Yes, by someone in their family who, and then they were also their servants, and we don't do a lot of, Outlander isn't super into the exploration of the people who are doing the cooking and cleaning, right? Like, we don't actually see that. The household servants.
We know who it is. Marsley.
Oh yeah, obviously.
She's gone. Everybody on the ridge is fucking starving. They're like, all I want is some tack bread. Where's Marsley?
No one is baking. No one is distilling whiskey.
No one is killing a hog and dressing it perfectly.
And no one is killing a rapist and then whispering, you killed my ma,
mother.
or you hurt my ma.
Please, Marsley, come back to the ridge. We're foundering.
Lauren Lyle, come back. We miss you.
The house burned down. Did you hear, Marsley? We really need your help.
Sorry, I can't. I'm taking care of 10 children plus my husband who's also a child.
All right.
And I'm solving crimes.
That's right.
As Kat and Peely listen to Girls Just Want to Solve Crimes, a podcast from Podlander presents.
So Mrs. Bug's funeral is sad and somber.
And Claire is singing Ave,
Ave
Maria.
Maria.
Schubert's Ave Maria, written in 1825.
Which we found out afterwards, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's a great little touch.
She does kind of, as I said, boogie woogie bugle boy that. But it does make sense because it's in Latin. So at least it does have kind of that liturgical or Catholic quality to it that kind of like elides anybody being like, where does that come from?
Well, and then my favorite part was at the very end of the funeral procession, we see a young man go, well, I must write this down.
Oh my God, was it Baby Schubert?
I think this is a marvelous tune. Oh my God, I went Scottish there. This is a marvelous tune. Whatever. Schubert.
Baby Schubert just happened to be on the ridge.
Yep.
Good job, Baby Schubert.
Yep.
So Mrs. Bug is buried, and Mr. Bug is real pissed. And does the showdown with Ian happen right there?
Pretty much. I mean, there seems to be a break of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie does "Death Be Not Proud,"
Which is fine.
It's one of his go-to monologues. He doesn't use it for comedies, obviously. He only uses it for dramatic auditions. But it comes in right under a minute. It's perfect. So Ian walks up to Mr. Bug and says, I killed your wife, which again, Mr. Bug probably already knows, maybe not, but he would figure it out eventually. I swear an oath to you, a life for a life, and he pulls out his knife. Jamie does not go, the fuck you say? Which I take issue with, but he and Claire, for some reason, are both like, yeah, okay, that seems reasonable. Sure. Later,
Why
Ian. We've only saved your life 9 million times, but you've saved ours 9 million times, so let's just say it's even, and you go ahead and you die if you want to.
But Mr. Bug is like, no.
Too easy.
Yeah.
Then this actor,
who really kind of gave me the creepy dude from Poltergeist vibes. Like, he was like a haunted spirit that was coming for me, right?
So
really
Arch
scary.
is played by Hugh Ross.
All right, Hugh Ross.
Mrs. Bug is played by Sarah Collier.
Sarah Collier, excellent job. Hugh Ross, you terrify me.
Hugh Ross, Dorian Gray, Patriot Games. He's a barrister in Patriot Games. He's Man in Trainspotting. He played Robert in Married to a Pedophile, a TV movie.
Sounds terrible.
Anyway, he's a workman. He's been working a long time. And he is fucking nightmare fuel.
Really scary.
Listen, it's a strange pivot, and in the books, it's you follow it because you're like seeing
immersed.
A lot of this through eyes of Claire and other characters, right? So it sort of tracks. But I was concerned about making this pivot because he is, speaking of Scottish Terminators, this is the I was supposed to say the Scottish Liam Neeson. No.
Grandpa's Revenge Part 2.
Grandpa's Revenge Part 3. Grandpa's Grudge.
Grandpa's Grudge. That's right. Grandpa's Grudge Part 1.
So Granda's Grudge.
Granda's Grudge. Well, his grudge is like some creepy ass girl coming out of a well shit because
he says
it's terrifying.
No, that's too easy.
Your dog.
What about your dog? Can I kill your dog? And Ian rightly is like,
fuck you.
He didn't kill your wife. I killed your wife. And then Archbug says, you won't even let me kill a flea-ridden mongrel. Take it back.
Yeah, rude.
Don't insult Rollo. You know what? He's killed as many men as you have.
Yeah. Don't go to sleep, Archbug.
Yeah.
You wake up with dog breath in your face.
Yep. So
Ian's like,
you'll
no.
see me you'll see me again when you have something worth taking.
Which means he's gonna stalk his ass and follow him.
It is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah,
honestly, it is as scary as Jamie's fucking Lionel Browntown murder reveal. Like, it's very...
Yeah, like, in the corner.
He is
half a shade.
Just with acting. Like, that guy... I wonder when they auditioned that guy, if they were like, listen, you're not going to have anything to do for 2 seasons, but then we need you to be as terrifying as possible.
But then you get this scene. Yeah, I know it's only 5 lines, but please read them deeply.
Yeah, please. Would you scare the piss out of us for a couple minutes? He's like, sure,
no problem.
And then he just scared the piss out of everybody. It's a great little scene.
And then goodbye, Archbug.
Yeah.
For now.
So Jamie then is like,
what should I do?
Found my plaid. nephew who's like a son to me has been threatened.
He's in trouble. Revolutionary War.
Tiny portrait of illegitimate son who doesn't know I'm his father but is fighting with the redcoats. Return to me.
Draft. Possible
Right.
Ian. Possible
Ian,
me.
Possible. I think maybe
it's
this
getting
is
a little
good
hot
time.
over here.
Claire, get out your acupuncture kit because we've got to get on a
We're
fucking
hitting that
boat.
ocean.
Claire's like, oh, really? Here's a thing that they didn't include from the bit. Do you remember when they found Jamie's grave?
At Culloden, right?
No, it's in a cemetery.
No, I don't remember
God,
that.
maybe they didn't do it in the show. No, they must have.
They had to have.
Claire has, at least in the books, again, brain fuzzy Outlander, blah, but at least in the books, Claire has seen Jamie's headstone.
Mm-hmm.
In the books, it is revealed. Well, no, now I'm worried that this is. No, they're not doing this plot point. It doesn't matter. In the books, it is revealed that Frank put that headstone there. Yeah, which is weird.
LFR.
It's weird. But
for real,
Claire is terrified that if Jamie goes back to Scotland, he'll die because he's buried there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So they didn't do that. Here, she just doesn't want to leave because who wants to go on a fucking boat? And also, sea voyages are perilous.
Yes.
And
long.
They have to build a whole nother fucking house.
Yeah.
And those windows aren't going to install themselves.
No.
Maybe they're just hoping they're going to come back. And
so Lallybroch and Jenny's going to be like, sweet, come on. You can
no,
move
I meant
in
they're
over
going to
here.
come back to Fraser's Ridge whenever they come back to Fraser's Ridge. And all of the
Kezzy and
Fisher folk will have been like,
let's rebuild it like it was. If we build it, they will come.
We gathered all of the white rocks to make the concrete like perimeter of your house. We spent all the money that we would have spent for food on windows. Now we're all gonna die.
But look at this house we rebuilt for you.
Oh, thanks. And they just walk in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot. They decide they're gonna leave. They're headed out. Lizzie. Oh my God, this scene. Lizzie and Josiah show up and are like, mistress, we brought you some
clothes.
I think parsnip stew.
Parsnip soup and clothes because all of her clothes, she was laundering her clothes because they all smell like smoke.
Yes. So let's briefly talk about the costuming in this episode because it is off the charts good, I think.
I was wondering whether or not the similar color palette with the teals and browns and colors that all kind of matched each other, it was very visually arresting and we were meant to notice it. And I wonder whether or not that color of teal or whatever it is some kind of natural dye that was easy to find, right? Because when you hear like historical costumers talk about dyeing fabrics, one of the things they talk about, the color of royalty is purple because it was really hard to make that dye, the indigo dye. But this teal dye looks, maybe it comes from some plant that grows a lot there because it just feels like there's something where they all look very similar.
Yes.
And
yeah.
that was interesting to me. And it was weird because it also kind of ties in with the Fraser tartan, like that light blue and the teal kind of touch each other and the brown. Anyway, it was very pretty.
Also, it's the color of the beautiful parlor in the big house. You remember those big glossy walls?
And it's the color that Bree is wearing that sweater later, that teal.
Yep.
Okay, so teal figures prominently in episode 3.
There's a really great shot. It's during the funeral when you can see it's like a diagonal across. It's Jamie, Claire, Lizzie, and Jamie's lapels are that color, and then Claire's shirt is that color, which is Lizzie's shirt. And then Lizzie's, I don't know if it's her skirt or her bodice or something, but something lower. So you see this sort of like slash of color that unites all of them. It's very cool. But Claire's clothes, the entire episode, it
don't
is
look
very obvious that she is wearing somebody else's clothes.
Which is such a nice touch.
It's really nice.
It's an incredible touch. I've known somebody who lost their home in a fire, and it is such a smart touch because clothes are the thing that people give them. They get a whole bunch of clothes right away because if all your clothes are gone, you need clothes. Here you go. Take some clothes. And then always wearing those clothes, it doesn't look like their clothes, and it also feels uncomfortable because they know that it's not their clothes. I don't know. It's really cool, and what a smart choice by the director, by the costuming.
Yeah.
crew.
Since you brought that up, I think part of the reason that fire at the big house scenes affected me the way it did is we were very lucky. I know I've talked about this on the pod at some point, but we were very lucky. Tom and I were very lucky during the during the pandemic, like near the beginning of the pandemic. It would have been like June 2020, I think. Our apartment building caught fire. It was a very, very serious fire, and we were luckily our apartment was untouched. Except for apparently water pooled under the floor, later causing the apartment to begin to sink, at which point we had to, also there were bugs everywhere. So it sucked eventually, but in a much less damaging way. But standing on the sidewalk, watching the building that had all of our worldly goods in it, and, you know, we're not rich.
Mm-hmm. So maybe that was part of your...
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It was the memory was more visceral to me than I expected. Like there were a lot of shots of them all watching the blaze, and it looked hot. And that's how it felt. Julie walked down to stand with us in the street, and we were pretty far away, and you could still feel, I mean, it was hot anyway, but you could feel it because it was a very intense serious fire.
Neil is the one that saw it first and called you guys right as you were getting the notice to leave, because Neil saw it from the other side of the train tracks, and he's like, shit, I think that's Tom and Allison's building, because the flames were so high on that corner.
Yep.
And it was very intense. It was like a double fire truck in Chicago. That's a big deal when you get two of the big fire trucks.
Yep.
Yeah, it was intense.
They used the ladders. It was, I mean, it was really, and someone did die.
Yeah.
And also, this is part of why the Adso thing maybe hit me so hard. One of my more, some of my more visceral memories from that day were, first of all, we went to put the cat in her carrier. Like Tom, no smoke alarms went off in the whole building, as far as I know. Certainly ours didn't. Somebody came up and rang all the bells on the outside of the building, saying your building's on fire, you have to get out. Was ringing all of the bells. Tom was like, what the fuck? And he went out the back door to look, and he raced back in and said, we have to go. And I was like, okay, I have a go bag for this reason. Grabbing my go bag, grab your medication. I grabbed my medication. I grabbed my computer bag. And then I picked up the cat to put her in her cat carrier. And the door of the cat carrier was broken. I couldn't get it to close. And it was so terrifying. And in a moment of what feels like real brilliance to me, I just picked her up and ran, right? Like we just ran out.
Mm-hmm. And Tom's car was parked across the street.
Tom was parked across the street far enough that there was no chance that it was just going to go up. We would have had time to move it if that was going to happen. So I just put the cat in the car, and that was our cat carrier. But at first, before I thought of that, I was just carrying her around outside, and she did so good, you guys. She was a champ. She didn't try to get out of my arms. She didn't freak out. I didn't like get cut up at all. She did great. But one of the girls whose apartment was destroyed was walking around crying and just saying, my cat, my cat, my cat, over and over again. And I didn't know, I just didn't know what to say. It was...
Did Claire have a moment at all about Adso until later? Like, she didn't really think about it at all right away. Like, I'm sorry. If my apartment went up, I know it's not the big house, and I know we don't live out in the woods or whatever, but if I still had Sophie and/or Spec, that would be the first thing in my mind. I would just be like, where the fuck are my cats?
I think in this case,
it was a lot.
Well, and it was different in that it wasn't, you realize that your house is on fire.
Also indoor, outdoor cat. Maybe the cat could have been outside.
But in my circumstance, it was, oh my God, we have to go. What can I grab right now? Mm-hmm. I can grab this bag that I know has like phone charger, bottle of water, change of clothes for both of us, stuff that I just have. I can grab my computer, which is my entire livelihood because I was freelancing at the time. Tom can grab his medication. I can grab my medication, and we can grab the cat, and we can go. And that's all I'm going to be able to grab. My computer bag, I think, also at the time had my wallet and stuff in it because of critic stuff and whatever. We also grabbed our IDs. We ran out the door. But in this case, they ran out the door because Wendigo Donner was passing out while holding a match into a puddle of ether.
That's right.
Right? So like...
Oh, we forgot to talk about the fucking action movie explosion.
Oh, yeah. They got the full, getting blown forward. Honestly, it looked great.
I was fine with it. And it was short enough to where it wasn't too cheesy.
I've had numerous people tell me we were super wrong about the fireflies, and I think that was correct. We were
I was a little bit mad about I was a little salty about it. I mentioned it.
That's true.
But
Well,
they were too still
I
and
was starry-eyed by a lot of the other things that were going on. And also it was pretty, but yeah, it did not look real.
Yeah. Anyway, they did get their John Woo slow-mo explosion.
Boo. Yeah, it was great.
So Kat comes back later. Thank God.
I have one other fire thing I want to say.
Yes, go on.
It is like my very sincere sympathies to anyone who's had to experience that, especially if you actually lost your possessions. Just being outside, watching our building burn, and in this circumstance, realizing that with all this is where I was going a second ago, that with all the stuff that I grabbed, one thing I didn't grab, because who would think of it, was masks. So, like a lot of our neighbors, we were standing outside when we didn't know that outside was safe yet. Really, like
pre-vaccine, pre-everything.
Yeah, we were still, if we were doing park hangs, sitting 6 feet away from each other, 6 feet apart in a big circle, because they hadn't yet realized that outside was relatively safe. So we were all crammed out there, and nobody thought to grab masks.
I did bring you a Miller Lite.
You did bring me a Miller Lite, and Jenna Polkowski, Stone Cold Babe, friend of the show, frequent contributor. You know her, you love her. She's the best. Also lived nearby at the time. She went home and she came back with a baggie full of masks that she had made.
Clutch.
Yeah. It was really like truly potentially life-saving. So like, you're a lifesaver, Jenna. No, but really. The thing that was truly great though, and I hope that Claire found something to laugh about like I did, is after hours of standing outside, 6 hours maybe. It was like 2 a.m. We went back inside when we were finally allowed inside. We went back inside, and my TV was still auto-playing Murder, She Wrote, which I was watching when Tom said we had to get out. And I, of course, didn't turn the TV off. So we just ran, and I came back in, and Jessica Fletcher was still solving crimes.
Yes.
I like to think about, because the firefighters had to clear everybody's apartment, right? Mm-hmm. Like they had to go through and tell everyone they were free to go back inside. So some firefighter walked into my apartment and was
saw Murder, She Wrote. A lady of taste. Whoever lives here has great taste.
Okay. Oh, so,
so the fire, like the costuming, it went all the way down through every level.
And
like when you saw Claire wearing somebody else's clothes,
and sometimes
you could feel it.
It would be especially cool because, like the blouse of Lizzie's, eventually she started wearing it differently. Like she opened the collar, and then it looked more like her, but still didn't look like her clothes. Mm-hmm. Really, really solid costuming. Also, Lizzie already pregnant again.
I mean, when you got 2 husbands at home, that's like extra fucking.
That is some extra fucking. And their little baby is walking. It was very cute. So they have a tearful goodbye. Time to go. They're headed out of town on their horses. No Rollo in sight.
What the fuck?
He's somewhere. He's
got to be there. There's no way Ian is without that dog.
Listen, the CGI budget was pretty solid already. They spent a lot of money on that John Woo moment. Maybe they couldn't have taken that dog and made it look more like a wolf for more than that one distant shot. He's somewhere. He's
around. He's
taking a shit in the woods. Give him a break, Julie.
But then you see them on the path out, and I have a thing. In this courtyard of this building, this back walkway of my building, there is a cat that is an indoor-outdoor cat.
Oh, terrifying.
When I'm working, sometimes I can hear that cat want to get let in, and it sounds like this. Meow. Meow. And so I heard it immediately, and I was like, Allison, Adso's in the woods. Meow.
Yeah, because speaking of John Wick, if they had killed that cat, I would have gone full John Wick.
Allison and I were both agree. Why didn't she take him with her?
Yeah. You've got to, if you find your wee cheaty in the woods after a fire, you have 2 options. Claire, you either
take him back to the ridge
and you bring him back to Lizzie and you're like, take care of my cat, bye. Or you say, all right, let me put him in
You got a job now, bitch.
Here we go. Yes, we're boarding a boat. Look, I saved you.
Kill these rats.
Look, I made a cat where there never was a cat. That's Sunday in Park with George joke for your nerves. So she should have taken him with her. Anyway, very cute cat left to just hang out in the woods. What the fuck?
I don't know. It was rude and wrong. Just take the cat with you.
Just take the cat.
Hopefully, Adso will find their way back to the ridge.
And no, in a wilderness situation, no judgment if you want to have an indoor-outdoor cat. No judgment. But y'all,
take that cat with you.
You take that cat with you.
Anyway.
And if you're in a city, please don't have an indoor-outdoor cat.
You shouldn't.
It's dangerous.
Unless you have the working cats, unless you're taking care of a feral colony that are like helping kill rats and mice and stuff.
True.
But if you've got a pet cat, keep them indoors. Come on, people.
Yeah, get it together.
In the city.
In a city, it's not safe. It's not safe.
So they leave, quote unquote, leave for Scotland. Not true. We find that out in the little bonus, like, what's next episode. Anyway, now on to Bree and Roger.
So the cold open of this episode is a box being delivered to Fiona's house, which is the Reverend Wakefield's old house. So this is Roger's old stomping grounds. A place where if you listen really hard, you can hear the faint whisper of a tiny child saying, "Can I have a biscuit?"
Is Fiona related to Mrs. Graham? Yes, that's correct.
Fiona
so she's
is
still a
her
Graham.
Granddaughter, grandniece, something like that. I don't remember.
So still Mrs. Graham.
Also,
spiritually Mrs. Graham.
She's a dick rock dancer. I don't know if that's been outed on the show or not yet. So that's a minor spoiler. But...
No, that shit travels in the blood.
And speaking of traveling in the blood, turns out that there has been sitting in trust of some kind a box that has Jemmy's full name on it. And it was only to be opened by him. And it has been there for hundreds of years. So family lore is like, well, somebody's got to deliver this box. Weird. It's weird. This person doesn't exist yet. And then they're like, whoa, hold on. This tiny child does not even have a birth certificate. What do you mean is this his full name? We skip over all of the Amanda getting heart surgery.
Yeah, that's gone. Justice for Joe Abernathy. We really thought that was going to happen.
The time jumps are not handled super well in this episode.
Yeah.
Like Lizzie all of a sudden being visibly pregnant when she wasn't during the funeral. Confusing.
Lots of voiceovers covering them up.
Yeah, and it's unclear. No. I don't mind a time jump, and I don't need to have them spoon-fed to us either, but it was confusing. But one such time jump is we don't see any of that stuff. We don't see...
We hear that she's okay. We hear that Mandy made it.
Yes, but we don't see any of the surgery things. We don't see Claire and Roger being like, don't mind our clothes. We were in a cult.
Bree and Roger.
Bree and Roger, yeah. Who won the Battle of Culloden? We don't see any of that.
Who won the Revolutionary War?
They wake up and all of a sudden here's how they discover. Like Claire, they're walking from the Dick Rocks and they find themselves on a road. And the way that they know that something has gone terribly wrong with time is everybody is driving on the wrong side. Anyway, so we don't see any of that. They're in Scotland. Roger is wearing just like normal person clothes. Bree is looking choice in a very beautiful little sweater.
She has two really great sweater jackets in this episode.
And excellent bangs.
The bangs are good. I don't know if I like that wig, though. There's something about it that...
I liked it.
I like the bangs. She looks cute. They look cute, and you can't really tell whether or not it's the 70s or the 80s, but it feels somewhere like in that time.
I could tell it was the 80s because...
Clothes-wise, I mean.
In the middle... Yes, clothes-wise. They're people of taste. They were not automatically wearing, like, puffy shoulders and, no shoulder pads in sight. I could tell that it was set in the 80s.
The realtor was super 80s.
That's true. But I could tell it was the 80s because as I was sitting there, I was like, I'm hungry. What is this hunger like? I'm hungry like the wolf.
Tusk! That's 70s.
Tusk is an 80s?
Is Tusk 80s? I can look it up.
So they get this box.
They get the box, and it's filled with letters written by Jamie and Claire.
They open it. They have to pry it open with a little knife of the non-dick variety. Tusk, song by Fleetwood Mac, 1979. You're right, but you know what? So close.
But that's what these costumes felt like. It's like kind of 70s, kind of 80s. I don't know.
Yeah. So they open
the box. Open the box.
And this is one of my favorite plot lines from the books, is this box of letters, which they decide they're going to ration. But it allows them essentially, and it's great for TV, to communicate. It's one-sided communication, but to communicate through time. And Brianna and Roger can pace themselves so that they're opening the letters roughly at the time that Jamie and Claire would have been experiencing whatever they're talking about, right? They know how long they've been gone. So they can say like, oh, this is 3 months after we left. Let's read this, right? So that way it really feels to them. And Sophie Skelton is good in the scene where they talk about this. She's obviously very affected by it. It's like they're still alive.
Yeah.
They're definitely dead.
No,
I want to make it clear.
They are very
extremely dead. It would be a very different show.
It's like 200 years.
They're 100% dead.
They are dust.
And it's lucky that it's pre-Google, because I would not be able to resist being like, Grave, Claire, Beecham, Randall, Fraser.
Dude, if somebody had given me that box and I knew what was inside, and then we opened it up and it was proven, and then I saw it, you could not stop me from sitting there and reading every single fucking letter from beginning to end right away.
I probably wouldn't be able to resist either.
I could not.
I would want
I have
to
impulse
ration
control
them.
problems. I don't know if anybody knows that.
I would want to ration them, but I don't think I'd be able to.
I couldn't. It would be too addictive. It would be like if I all of a sudden tomorrow came in here and opened up this china cabinet and there was like a false wall and there were like 5 letters from my grandmother in there. No way I can like space them out. I'd be like, oh God, I got to read them all right now.
I think actually if I found like 5 letters
then
from
you'd
a
read
dead
them right
loved
away.
one.
This
no,
is big.
I don't think so. I think that would be easier to ration because it would be a limited number. So I'd read one and then I'd have these. I would know I had 4 more times to have this experience and I want to savor it. So I would put them away and wait until I needed one. But
as opposed to this is a lot.
There are like 60 letters in this box.
It's a lot.
So they know that in there is all kinds of information, all kinds of things that happen to them. And you would be able to tell yourself just one more, just one more, just one more.
There's 60 letters in here. What are 10 going to do?
Right. And then all of a sudden you're almost done with the letters.
Yeah.
Buy Apple stock. That's what you're looking for.
Please, immediately, somebody put that in there.
But it's really lovely, and it's great that something that's so effective in the books
came through.
Yeah, and it's straight from the books. We Are Alive is the first thing they read, and that the relief that they must feel knowing that like they came to do this at least Bree came to do this very specific thing to stop them from burning down the house. And speaking of 80s, they
and then she weirdly created matches, which is what burned the house down.
One of my favorite parts of the episode.
Roger figured it out.
Richard Rankin
it's because you.
Richard Rankin is so good in that scene where you see Roger's like brain kind of explode. And he has
with
this
time
like
travel.
Big time travel moment where he's like, wait, no. Okay, so first of all, we changed history. We definitely, because that's been an open question. How much can you change history? This time, definitely change history, we think. Because the house
was supposed to burn down like months later.
Yes, later. Well, you're undetermined because they can't
it's smudged
read
out.
that.
But
Yeah.
in January, this was in April. So it was at least 8 months
wrong
later.
month.
Right.
And it hadn't burned down yet. So either they had already prevented it or the house was going to burn down in January. And if it did, maybe they would be inside.
And they would.
And you know what? If they had been anywhere else in this house, for example, if it had been later in the day and Claire and Jamie had been sleeping, let's assume that Jamie got drunk and is like passed out unconscious because there is no way that the Scottish Terminator wouldn't wake up at the sound of breaking glass in his home. For whatever reason, let's pretend they don't wake up.
They weren't right by the door to the dog run between the houses.
And they're searching for the jewels. And all of this happens and the house goes up. They 100% would have died. Mm-hmm. That fire went up so fast.
Very fast.
It's all that fresh
timber,
timber,
baby. Also, all that fucking ether, all those fucking 20 jars in there. She just had to keep, just in case.
Just in case.
I don't know. You don't know me. You know what? Back off.
Well, with every window that burst, oxygen just raced in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you get.
That's what you get with all those fucking windows.
Too many windows.
So Roger has that moment where he's like,
wait,
we did it.
Okay,
we saved
changed
their
it,
lives.
but it's your fault that the house burned down. It's like,
Fuck you.
No, it's not.
Fuck off.
Anything could have started that place. He's like, no. But it wasn't anything. It was your match.
She specifically says it was Mother's ether. Trying to throw Ether under the bus again. I'm going to come back as Ether like, hey, guys. Don't worry about it. Just down here. Just waiting for Claire to come back. Don't worry. Just hanging out.
It's me. I'm just here to ruin your life again. So Brianna's like, no, it was not me. And he's like, no, but it was. And it's really funny. His reaction is like, no, you burned down your parents' house. And she cannot understand why he finds that so exciting. He said, because
now
the
the fire that killed him can't happen.
The house can't burn down twice. It can't burn down twice. It's already gone, and they're safe.
And they're alive.
Congrats. Way to go. You should make more matches all the time.
Also, why didn't you build a fire truck?
You couldn't get on a sprinkler system?
Fucking some kind of irrigation? A hose? Lord, girl, just a hose.
Brianna, what the fuck?
Like, how hard is that?
So yeah, it's a very funny scene. They read the first letter, and Claire and Jamie both narrate it, and Jamie has a little thing where he says, first, I don't know how time, I don't think God cares very much about time, so I want you to pray for our safe journey, even though it will have long since passed. Time travel. But also, turns out, I have come into some property from an Italian gentleman. Wink, wink, wink.
Nudge.
I have hidden it in a secret spot. Jem knows the place. Wink. Tell him the Spaniard guards it. So if you ever need some property from an Italian, ask Jem where the Spaniard is. Peace. Also, when they when they first open the box, Roger's like, a musket bowl. And that is what they do with the gold. They make solid gold musket balls.
And then cover them up with some kind of like lead powder or something.
To disguise them.
Yeah. And then put them in a box and bury them in a cave by the Spaniard skeleton. And that was Jamie and Jem's cute little granddad thing.
Jamie and Jem were out wandering in the woods, and they
by the
found
ridge.
This cave. And
they're like, shh, don't tell Grandma.
It's our little secret.
Why do you think Jamie obviously wanted to have that moment with his grandson? Like, I get it. But also, do you think that Jamie was like, nobody needs to know about this cave in case I need to know about this cave? Like Dun Bonnet Part 2. Like, do I need to hide? Because I kill so many motherfuckers.
Honestly, that's a good point. Or anyone might need to hide.
Mm-hmm. So, shh, Jimmy, shh. Isn't it fun? Oh my God, skeleton almost died. Look at this. Granddad, love you. Don't talk.
It's very cute in the moment. Like every grandson needs to have a secret with his granda. Mm-hmm. But also, that's a really good point.
Scottish Terminator.
Caves have come in handy for me in the past.
I'm going to need to hold on to this one.
I'm going to need this cave. So he hides the gold there. So now Bree and Roger like, we don't need to know. We don't need that.
We don't need that. We're fine. Mandy's fine. Jimmy's fine. We're good. We're fine. We don't need that. What inspires them to go to Lallybrock?
Oh, Bree just says she wants him to see it.
Oh, let's go see the ancestral home.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So they get in their sweet ass car.
Is it a Saab? Is it a Renault? What the fuck is that car? It is cute.
It's blue.
It is blue. What does that mean?
Well, it's all like blue teal through the whole.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And this is when she's wearing the sweet striped.
Yeah.
Number.
Oh, it's good.
God, these are my clothes.
Roger's coat too. That was like really that looked like you. Mm-hmm. Roger's coat. I was like, that's a Julie coat. Too.
Fucking late 70s. That's my jam.
Solid. So they go to Lallybrock.
It's all boarded up.
It's all boarded
sad. It's empty. Oh, ancestral home.
They bust down. It looks like most of them, the windows are covered with metal, but one of them is boarded up, and Roger boards it, and some pigeons fall out.
Two pigeons are like, thank fucking God, we've been in there for 10 fucking years. I had to eat 10 of my children. Like, they did fly out like that, though.
Oh, they did.
Oh, God, thank you.
Never thought I'd be so happy to see the sunlight. It hurts my eyes. but I'm so glad to see
Thank
it.
God.
And then it
Deuces, Lollybrock.
and then it flew directly into a tree and died.
And somewhere a raven went, caw.
Oh my God, we didn't talk about the raven.
No, you know what? I was going to let it go because it made us so mad. We'll come back. We'll come back to that at the end. We'll come back. So they bust open Lollybrock and they're having sad moments. She's sad. She's like, oh, my family, my ancestors lived here. Like, this is such a, I just wanted you to see it. And then all of a sudden they decide to leave. They've seen what they wanted to see. And another like choice 80s car pulls up behind them and out comes, what's her name from Annette Bening from Today is the Day I Sell This House.
I will sell this house today.
I will sell this house today.
So she gets out and they're like, oh God, we gotta go.
We gotta go.
Sorry, we're just leaving, but I'm not trespassing. And she's like, well, are you interested?
And they're like, what?
What? In what?
And she goes, oh shit. And she reaches over and pulls up the largest for sale sign I've ever seen and brushes some ivy off of it. So obviously Lollybrock's been kind of weirdly on the market for a while. It even says like, what's the word when it's in foreclosure or whatever? It says something like that. It's very specific on the board.
I mean, it is what you might call a fixer-upper.
Duh.
The most recent tenants were cannibal pigeons.
But you know what it's got? Great bones.
Great bones. And a lot of windows.
Great bones.
And a priest hole. So Bree and Roger are like, so spoiler, Bree and Roger.
They're going to buy Lollybrock and redo it.
And they get, as someone put it in the Crowdcast this week, the best HGTV show ever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Flip my brach.
Flip my brach. Okay, Allison the Raven, go.
Quoth Allison about the Raven. Never fucking again. I don't understand. It's Outlander.
There'll be a scene of such skill, incredible acting, interest, good writing,
and characters with a lot of emotional richness because we've spent so much time with them, and the books are so long, so the actors have a lot of source material.
And then at a funeral, it will cut to a raven going, "Pow, pow," and you'll be like, "Why?
Why?
Why did you do that?
I'm right here.
Why?
I just watched it.
Why did you do that?" Or like, this calls back to me. Always shit like this calls back to the falling Virgin Mary statue, which is just like.
And, and for anybody who is thinking like 3 out of 5, you don't like the show, we get it.
No,
here's what I will say.
Show.
We love the show, and Faith is one of the best episodes of this TV show, but there is a reason that moment sticks out. It's because that is an incredible episode of television with one shot that's so bad that years later we reference it every time the show
does something
like way too heavy-handed.
Cow!
Oh my
Fuck
God.
off!
Fuck that Raven.
Fuck off!
I just...
Fuck off! I'm going to do that every time something like this happens again. Fuck off! You're going to hear it. You heard it here first. You'll hear it again. You'll hear it again.
Oh my God. It's going to be like a tattered American flag waving
Oh my
proudly,
God.
right?
Oh my God. When it's only got like 12 stars or whatever. Oh, it's broken. It's never going to get together. And then a bird's going to fly past. And I'm like, fuck off!
Oh God.
So this episode was kind of like, other than the house burning, it was not very active.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
hot
pess and consideration and thinking about the past or the way things had been set up. So it did feel a little bit like a place like, let's move forward. It was good, but it did feel a little bit more like, okay, let's get everybody together, gather the clan and move on.
I was really into it, but it absolutely is a pretty low stakes episode after the fire.
Yeah, the fire was
once
great,
Archbug has made his threat, things get considerably
mellow.
Yeah. But in a really good way. And honestly, lots of great little moments. Like, for example, they're discussing their trip to Scotland. And Jamie is like, well, I don't know what your ma's going to make of you, young man. And Ian says, John Bell, God bless you.
Oh my
amazing
God.
line reading. He
So
says,
funny.
I'm not that much taller, am I?
God, I love you. You're so funny.
It was a perfect line reading.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really funny. There's a
weird discussion between Jamie and Connor about
this
what
is what
they
I was
want to
about
do.
to say.
What they want to do when they're
because
dead.
I wrote down. First of all, I wrote down Raven.
Fuck off!
But then I wrote down dinner fash, because Claire does a thing that everybody should do eventually if you are in.
How would you like your death to be handled?
What do you want
Please
from
be
your death?
a responsible adult and give me the information that I need to make sure that it all goes smoothly and it's not some fucking shit show.
And we're respecting your wishes.
Exactly.
What do you want? And Jamie's response is, oh, there's absolutely no way I'm going to die in a way you could bury me. I'm going to drown, or I'm going to
rot on some fucking...
Or I'm going to rot on a battlefield. So don't even worry about it. What?
I prefer to lay me out and let the crows eat me. So is Jamie now announcing that he is a Zoroastrian and believes in air burial? Have you ever heard of air burial?
No.
This shit is fascinating.
Okay, tell me.
The only reason I know this is because Freddie Mercury, his family was Zoroastrian. And one of their beliefs is when you die, you get your body put into kind of a weird cage on a cliff and birds eat you. Air burial.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. So Jamie's like, fuck it, I'll be dead. Let the crows take me. Fuck off!
That's what Claire should say. Instead, she's like, that sounds reasonable. I want to point this out to both of those people. Jamie has, at this point, been at death's door on multiple occasions. And in each circumstance.
Has come back.
Well, yes.
Has Kool-Aid manned it. Oh, yeah!
With the exception of Culloden, every other time that Jamie has been at death's door, it was a situation where Claire would have buried him afterwards, right? Snake bite?
Yes.
He was literally on the ridge.
Yes,
he was at home. She treated him in her surgery, right? Magical hand job? If that magical hand job hadn't worked, he and his dead boner would have been buried at that monastery. When is it Leary shoots him? Leary shoots him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. After the
would have buried him at
I'm already
Lallybroch
married
or whatever.
once. I'm an accidental bigamist. Yes, he would have been buried at Lallybroch. So that is
accidental bigamist. What a great band name.
Yes. That is a very dumb take, Jamie. Get it the fuck together and tell your wife how you would like your death to be handled, because you are definitely going to die first. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Claire is a terrible time traveler.
And also a woman in that time with a grimoire. So the odds, the over-under on her getting roasted alive go up a little bit.
She also doesn't say how she would like to be buried.
No, well, he doesn't ask her because he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like most men.
Jamie, come on.
Here's what I want. I want that weird shit where they liquefy your body. That's what I want. And then push into the ocean. That's what I want.
I thought you wanted Suicide Cruise.
Well, Suicide Cruise is if it gets to that point. Otherwise, liquefy my body and throw me in the ocean with all the other planktons. Like, let's do it. Let's can do the circle of life.
I mean, I want to be cremated, unless it becomes more affordable to do the tree thing.
Also, the tree thing is cool. Like the green burial where you're in the pod beneath the tree. I love that.
Yeah, I would like to,
because there shouldn't be so much process about being dead. You should just return to the earth because. Just do it.
Yeah, we're all...
I remember when I first moved to Chicago on the Red Line train southbound, it was with Jeremy Lawrence one day. And we go by Graceland Cemetery, which is an enormous cemetery.
It's huge.
Like right in the middle of Chicago, north side of Chicago. It's very big.
It's very big and also like very beautiful.
And we're going past it and I was like, how long before they build on this? Like really? It won't be in our lifetime. But eventually... people will have to build there because it's close to water. And
and
Jeremy did not like that. He was like, oh, and I was like, they're dead. They don't care. Unless you're in Poltergeist with Archibald.
I was just going to say, I think before they will have time to build on it, either the big one comes.
The New Madrid fault going?
Yeah.
Woof.
Or there'll be like a new... I don't know, center for fucking hurricanes or something. Like, we're definitely gonna... Everybody thinks Midwest is a safe place to be.
It won't be.
No.
There'll be something else.
There'll be something else.
Yeah,
we're definitely...
based on this last week... Yeah, based on this last week of our lives, this is the first time I've ever had to deal with wildfire smoke like that, and it was not pleasant.
It was, my sympathies to
everyone
people in California who deal with this all the time.
And all of a sudden it happened here in Chicago, and it was like, oh, this really...
Apocalyptic.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's kind of clearing out, but
God,
it's been
maybe
weird.
that's part of the reason that the big house hit me pretty hard too.
Maybe too. Well, we've been smelling fucking fire all week.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting that it would be like a multi-sensory
like
brain fuck.
Somehow like Proustian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Madeline smells like a campfire.
Anyway, yeah, I think
it was a good episode.
It's a good episode.
It was not, I could have gotten up and gotten several beers.
I don't think
voiceovers alone.
Yeah, so beer scale. I didn't get up to get anything
until after the house. I didn't get up to get anything either. Sometimes I feel guilty when the crowdcast is going to do that, but I feel like after the house burned and the bug plot kind of ended, I maybe could have.
Well, and that's also a pretty natural break because frankly, if we were watching this at a different time of day, I would have been like, hold on, that was weirdly terrifying. Was not expecting to be terrified by a man who needs a shampoo at this time of day. I need a drink, only I can't drink anymore. But yeah, I think there's a natural place to go get a drink at least.
Doing it scale 0, nothing, 0, nothing.
Yeah,
there was the cute kiss, but like even that was not.
It wasn't sexy.
I'm not
We
assigning
are
a movie to it.
reminded of the presence of a throuple on the ridge.
We are reminded that Lizzie's getting it many ways.
We were robbed of Claire and Jamie having to stay in Bree and Roger's cabin with the people who also live there, which I think in the mix is the McCallums. So it's like 9 people in this little tiny cabin, which is, again, a cabin, not a house. Here it's a house.
Yeah,
it's weird. Anyway, it's too crowded, so they have to fuck outside. So they go like find a secret place to fuck outside.
That's another reason why Jamie needs a cave.
Jamie, here's 2 little things we skipped. Jamie also wants to, he's like, what about there for our new house? And it's all the way
across the river. Like why the fuck? He just wants to be further away from the hoi polloi.
I guess so. Like, get me away from the fisher folk.
Yeah, fuck them. I just want to go over there.
Let's go over there. Like there.
Yeah, also we're right by the river, so maybe we can figure out some kind of fire suppression situation.
Yeah. I've got an idea. Let's get a carriage and paint it red. And then we sit somebody on the top and they'll go, wow, wow, wow. We also skipped the nth time confirmation that Jamie is a psychic dreamer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The telephone dream.
He sees Fiona. And then I thought the writing of that scene was honestly really funny because imagine not knowing what a telephone is and then having to describe it. So it's like a box, because I first would have gone, it's a box and there's a circle on the front and that circle has more circles on the periphery. That's what I would have said first. But then
he talks about it like a pigtail because
that's the detail where Claire seems to go, oh, you're talking about a phone, because it was a club with 2 cups on the end, I think he said,
and a pigtail,
and it was a box, but it was kind of humped. And then Claire goes, "Oh, you know what? 1 point on the doing it scale," because Claire goes, "Humped." She's like, "Are you suggesting something?" And he sees Jamie pick it up and say, "I want to talk to Granda," and also she sees Fiona. So Claire knows that they're in Scotland because Jamie has psychic dreams.
Okay. Whatever.
Okay. Doing it scale 1 because humped.
Humped?
Honestly, I'm really happy about
Costumes, interesting. Costumes, maybe I'm going to give it's a Wes Anderson thing where you're matching people by tribe or something, like maybe Steve Zissou or Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah, that's a really good choice. I'm gonna go with like a community theater production of Sweeney Todd, because I've got Sweeney Todd on the brain, where all of the costumes have to serve multiple purposes because the people in the ensemble have to play different parts. So like the guy who's playing Pirelli, his pants also have to double as his street urchin pants or whatever. I could have come up with a better example than Sweeney Todd, but yeah, where a costume has utility because it needs to be used in multiple ways. And in this case, a costume of something that would have been Lizzie's needs to be used in this other way. And then Claire finds a way to wear it differently, which somehow makes it look more like her while still not looking like her. I thought the costumes...
It was really
cool. This is my favorite kind of costuming.
Yes, because it's helping the story.
Yes.
It's giving you information that you may not get through the text or the acting. You are absorbing something visually that tells you something.
Yes.
And I think speaking of our podcast and how awesome we are, I think that we taught Janine this particular thing. I think that he understood that costumes are important, but didn't understand how deeply they can be tied to storytelling.
Yeah, well, because it's meant to be a part
Subtle.
of the tapestry, right? Like
subtle.
you are learning things from it without necessarily realizing you're learning things from it. Yeah, I think it's great because we still get to see costumes like Ian's, which are sort of ostentatiously excellent, or what Jamie is wearing to the funeral when he's wearing his
Also
plaid again, which he's not
excellent.
supposed to, right? Like he is not supposed to be wearing his plaid.
Why does it matter in the U.S.? Because they're a British territory.
Yeah, and I mean, it might also be dangerous.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, but it's probably easier to just not. Anyway, he's wearing his plaid with this coat, and it's a great, great costume.
And you can tell that he feels it.
Yeah.
He feels good in it.
Yes.
You can just see it.
Whereas the great thing about Claire's costuming is just that it looks not quite right.
And she feels a little...
It's great, like
out
really,
of place.
really, really good costuming. Also, the soot, perfect. It wasn't like... Again,
One
like a
tiny
community
little-
theater production of
tiny
Oliver
smear.
where people have smudges and like weird random play. Like, look how dirty my face is. Because it's got like random smudges. It was like a wash of soot over all of them. So I thought that was really
Costumes, great.
Yeah.
All right, so
Costumes
we
and
did
makeup.
beers, costumes, makeup, doing it. You know what we didn't do last week was
Golden
pamplemousse.
pamplemousse.
I think
okay.
last week it was Sam.
I think so too. This week, I vote John Bell.
I do too, because the amazing, like, not having to say anything, but we know exactly what he's doing.
Scene,
that's very strong.
They were all good, but that scene in particular, it was because it was a cool thing to play, and it was great watching Ian kind of demand to be treated like an adult, because he is. That is a grown man. At this point, Ian has killed a lot of people on Jamie's behalf.
Up.
He has become a serial killer
grown up.
for his uncle. It is time for him to be treated like a man. So yeah, I really appreciated that scene with a little like shout out to Archbug's terrifying monologue.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because that was terrifying.
Really, and it makes me feel like we'll see him again.
Yeah. And Sam and Kate were great as usual, but like, yeah, John Bell is my golden pamplemousse.
I have to agree.
For sure.
I agree. So do we talk about the next time on, or do we just save it?
Well, I don't think there's a way we can possibly avoid it, but this is a long one. This is a big one.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Fuck
indeed.
off!
But I think we have to end with this. I'm the book reader. I had no memory of this. Tom Christie alive and well? What the fuck? Hold on. Pause. If you don't watch the previews for coming weeks, this is going to be a spoiler. So stop listening here. But we have to talk about it because it was the most exciting part of the episode. When is that ever true?
Shady.
Not shady. Testament to Mark Lewis Jones.
Yeah, you're right.
Because Tom Christie shows up in the preview for next week. I had completely forgotten that Tom Christie is not actually dead in the books. What the fuck? I am so excited. Give him... Find a way to keep that man. Find a way...
Do it.
...to keep that man in this show.
Because he's really fun to watch.
What I yelled at the television was, oh my God, they murtaugh'd Tom Christie. Turns out they didn't. He's alive in the books, but still, you could still murtaugh Tom Christie by just finding ways to keep that actor around. Come on. He's going to be like, oh, you killed my son? Great, thank you.
Thank God.
Oh, that's
finally somebody did.
That's a relief.
I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't get myself to do it. I stood over his bed many nights.
Okay, I'm going to go start helping build your mansion.
Okay.
Bye. Find a way to keep Tom Christie around,
But also
please.
that shows us that they don't get on the boat.
At least not right away.
Or at least not right away.
But we know they've gotta, because unless Jenny has somehow lived to be 200 some years old,
And we got to see her again.
we gotta see her again, and we gotta see the new Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny, also from the Lallybroch.
Yeah.
Other Jenny from the
Other
Lallybroch.
Jenny from the Lallybroch, which I'm excited to see because those are some amazingly large shoes to fill.
And a great character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just excited to see it because Jenny is a great character.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's it. Next
Yep.
week, OMG, MLW.
That's right.
Oh,
MLJ.
OMG, MLJ. There we go.
OMG MLJ. All right, bye.
Bye.
What excellent content.
I mean, month after month, we just keep killing it.
Yes, yes. And somehow this bit, not old yet.
Not to me.
Okay, but this is important because we're recording this, our monthly live, in person with our dear friend Amelia. So we've decided to make it a musical moment, as she is wont to do, but we haven't planned anything at all. So, Amelia, what do you want to play?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I do best, quote, big air quotes, best, when you all just like shove random requests at me and then I just let the Lord take the wheel.
Okay. All right. Well, let's pick one. Julie, you can pick one. And then if that like flails out halfway through our list,
Very
I'll
likely.
pick a different one. So you've got options. Julie,
Okay.
go ahead. What should she start with?
Well, based on this season of the Drunkcast so far, I'm going to go ahead and go with the theme from DuckTales.
Great.
Okay, I accept.
Perfect.
Okay.
Little butt jewels.
All right. So will you start playing and then I start the spiel? Or do you want me to start the spiel and then you start playing?
Start the spiel and I'm going to absent myself across the room so I don't take
Okay.
over all of the sounds.
Hold on though,
Okay.
because we have to choose backup song. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think if/when the DuckTales theme bottoms out,
How dare you.
I'm going to suggest It's All Coming Back to Me Now.
J'accept Happy Canada Day to Celine Dion. Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's let Amelia get
Amelia,
placed.
you go ahead.
Let me get my script.
This is one of my I'm going to say this real briefly. This is one of my favorite times of year because when Outlander comes back, we get some new patrons, and some of our new patrons have come correct with some names.
I'm very excited to hear it.
Great. Let's
All right.
do it.
Amelia, you ready? Here we go. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on Facebook.com/PodlanderCast, on Instagram @PodlanderCast. You can find all of our excellent shit there. You can also find us at podlanderpresents.com, where you can find all sorts of information about all of our truly excellent shows. If you like what you heard, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to the show right now. We want to thank all of you for listening, but we especially want to thank our patrons. You can become a patron at patreon.com/PodlanderDrunkcast, where you can support the show, join the Slack, get early episode access, and access our bonus content. Thanks to all of our patrons. Thank you. You all make it possible for us to do this bullshit. My old note is you like O'Doyle rule. I missed that one, but I'm not going to say it again. This show is produced by Allison Shoemaker and Julie Starbird, edited by Julie Starbird, other stuff by Allison Shoemaker. Our artwork is by Viv Pickles, aka Laura. Our cover songs are performed by Amelia, Ham on the Loose Bazelles, you can hear in the background,
Who's also our social media maven.
and also does great social media work for us. Thank you, Amelia. And now to Allison to really deeply thank our patrons.
DuckTales lasted 5 seconds. I just want to go on record as saying that. So we're still in Celine land, but we're in the chorus. Keep it up. It's the nights were so cold. So there we go. There it is. We want to thank all of our patrons, but especially the following lovely folks: Katie the Jorte Fishwife, Mindy Newell, Rachel Revelle, Brenda, Allison King, Doc JWS, Chekhov's Ointment. I saw Goody Proctor with the Devil, Sydney Taylor, Maddie Perkins, Snazzy Knack, Lisa Brienne, Julia Gulia, Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Emily Day, Betsy English, Caitlin Reddick, Jen Collins, Tina Barnett, Nicole Rodriguez, Kristen Freckled Fury, Ham on the Loose. That's Ham on the Loose, guys. Liz and Tinkerbell, Terry Welch, Rochelle Lefevre, Amanda Smith, Jerry Hertel, Amy Gustafson, Rachel Townsend, Kelly Mazzella, Chantel Salters. Tara Lucchino, Viv Pickles, a.k.a. Laura, Mary of the Grapefruit, Jenna Polkowski, Ann Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Kara Marlowe, Trish McCurry, Julia DeToy, Jen Lynn, Kelly Bodden, Amanda Newton, Elizabeth Young, and Kiki the Wise. We love y'all so much. Thank you for making it possible for us to do this stupid show.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, folks. Let me see if I can sum up Midnight Burger in about 25 seconds.
Jesus Christ!
It'll be fine. So this is how it ends. Eaten by wolves in space.
Pardon me, Gloria. Might my husband and I have a word?
The radio is talking to me.
Really, big monster?
Zero irony.
We're surrounded by cavemen.
What the hell is that?
Because you're having a cigarette in 415 million BC.
Where are we?
Space?
Can you narrow that down?
The bad part?
Ava. Yeah, that didn't work at all. At the nexus of all things, there is a diner. Look for Midnight Burger on your favorite podcasting app or just go to weopenat6.com.